Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. That's right. Welcome on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Adam Kernan, your host. This is Chi-Town Weekly. We got a lot to go over on the show tonight. The calendar has flipped to May. So we've got baseball to talk about, both sides of town, an NHL Draft lottery that went on, and then we've got head coaches being fired. So lots of stuff to get to in the show here tonight. A lot to do. Excited about it. And we're going to be keeping up with both the White Sox and Cubs games in action tonight. So a lot to do, a lot to keep going with. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to start things off with some baseball here tonight. But first, a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back with a recap of the Cubs and White Sox March and April start to the seasons. One was spectacular with some bad news coming today. The other, well, we'll find some encouragement. Lots to get to. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. Glad to be with you here tonight. Glad that you are here. Thank you to each one of our sponsors as well for all the support they do for the station and this show, as well as all of the others along. If you are listening live here tonight across Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, be sure to drop in a comment in the chat room. We can interact, have some fun that way. I see Wes Trueblood is already here. Good evening. Hope you're doing great. And Wes is hoping that the Bears can run the football this year to take some pressure off of Caleb. I'm hoping that the offensive line is improved enough that that will help the running game also. I think that will improve things, even though they didn't necessarily go out and get a new workhorse to go alongside DeAndre Swift. I'm hoping that just having a better offensive line will help with that also. You heard how to interact with the station on social media. You can follow along with us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube by following at IE Sports Radio. If you have not subscribed yet on YouTube to IE Sports Radio, please do so. And when you do, just drop a little comment where on any show that you're watching and just say that you're here because of Chi-Town Weekly. That just gives us a little buzz and a little feel good about it. But please subscribe to the station on YouTube and all the other social media platforms to keep up on all the latest. You can also keep up with this show. We are available at IESRC on Twitter, or you can follow along with me personally. I am at Adam_Karnick. All right. So it has finally reached May. Well, I shouldn't say finally. It has suddenly become May. Out of the blue, we turned around, and the next thing you knew, the calendar, the 1 week we were talking about the Super Bowl, and what feels like 3 weeks later, we are now into May. The NFL draft is behind us, and baseball season is very much in full swing. we've got two teams in town that are headed very much in what feel like and what are polar opposite directions. I wanted to start things off with the happy side of town, if you will, but even that after today, we might have to revisit that phrase a little bit. So let's start things off with the Cubs tonight, shall we? Now that we have completed the March and April portion of the season, what really, if we remember back to the beginning of the season, we were looking at the Cubs schedule and it was, man, just be close to 500, be close to 500. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're asking for here at this point in the calendar, the 31 games between March and the end of April. If you can be 15 and 16, 14 and 17, okay, 16 and 15, anything above that would be phenomenal, would be outstanding. Well, here we are as they're getting into play on May 5th, and the Cubs are 21 and 14, far exceeding my expectations for them for this season. And looking back at it, you had winning series against, of course, the Athletics, the Padres, the Cubs, taking a series in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, taking a series against the Diamondbacks in Chicago, sweeping a 2-game split with the Dodgers at Wrigley, beating the Phillies. Beating the Phillies in a first game, lost to the Phillies overall in the series. Their only series loss in the entire month of April was a dropping 2 out of 3 to the Phillies, and then finishing that up with a couple games against the Pirates, but still ultimately took that series. And then you took 2 out of 3 to the Brewers to officially start May. An outstanding start to the season. Much, 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 much better than I could have possibly hoped for. And the Cubs, they're near the top in Major League Baseball in runs scored. Their home runs are up. Their stolen bases are up. Pulling up the team numbers right now. They're tied for the best batting average in all of Major League Baseball. They are the best batting average in the National League. They are third in MLB in home runs. They are tops by a huge margin in runs batted in. They are tops in MLB in hits, tops in stolen bases. They are just about any major statistical offensive category you'd care to think about. They are at or near the top. Their pitching, that leaves things to be desired, of course. You're not doing great with the pitching. And we're going to get into that a little bit more because that's going to get rocked a little bit here. But it's still this offense. This was the problem. We talked about it a lot a year ago with the Cubs, that where's the offense? Why aren't they scoring runs? What do they have to do? I like it. Christian Harvey, the host of Gritsville, USA, our Detroit show, calling a Cubs-Tigers World Series. I'd love it. And Christian, I love that the Tigers have been able to unlock Javier Baez out there. They found a home for him, and Javi is now playing center field and hitting the cover off the ball. Javi will always have a special place in my heart because he was part of the 2016 Cubs, but I am truly so glad to see him finally having some success there in Detroit. So Christian, I'm right there with you. I would love to have a Cubs Tigers World Series. We got a lot of baseball to play between now and then, though. So we'll see how that goes. So what have the Cubs got coming up for them now in the month of May? They're hosting the Giants right now. We got a 3-game series that is just underway at Wrigley Field going on right now. No score, bottom of the third. The Cubs do have a man on second right now, but no score, with Matthew Boyd doing well to start things off. Only 1 hit allowed and 4 strikeouts the first 3 innings there at Wrigley Field. And actually, Ian Happ just hit a 2-run bomb to right center. So the Cubs are now up 2-0 on the Giants as we're watching here live at Wrigley Field here tonight. So 3 against the Giants, another strong National League West team. You know, they had all those strong NL West teams in March and April and had success. That might continue. Well, you know, that it doesn't back off at all here in the start of May with this. Then they are this weekend taking on the New York Mets, the best team in the National League East. They've got 6 games against the Marlins. All 6 of their games against the Marlins happen to fall in May, 3 at Wrigley, and then heading down to Miami. They've got 3 at home against the White Sox, sandwiched in between those 2 Marlins series. Then they are at the Reds, hosting the Rockies, and then playing the Reds again to close out the month. So a grand total, including the 5 games that they have already played this month, as I am now going to do math off the top of my head. I apologize for that. 15, 18, 21, 23, plus the 8 they've already done. So we're talking roughly 28 games in the month of May. I want to see, obviously you want to be above 500 in this month when all is said and done. You've got, you know, those games against the Marlins and the White Sox, those 9 games right there. You need to take a minimum of 6 of those games in that series. And then you've got the Rockies, easily the worst team in baseball by a wide margin. We're going to talk a little bit about them when I get over to the White Sox here in a moment. That right there, that's 15 games where really you should be taking 9 of those 15 minimum from those. So I'm going to say for the month of May here for the Cubs, I want to see them, you know, it's technically 5 games in the month of May because the second series against the Reds bleeds over into June. But I want to see, out of these 28 games, I want to see 16 wins in this, 16-12 in this. Is Christian commenting over on Twitter about Javier Baez. It's about time. He was about ready to ship them back to Chicago for a half-eaten Portillo's dog. You know, I love Javi. I'd take him, even though it was crazy and all how bad he's become since leaving Chicago. I'd welcome him back with open arms, and we'd figure out something for him to do with the team. But it's fantastic that he's playing well now in his new role as the center fielder for the Detroit Tigers and having success out there. It does good. So I say I want to see 16 wins from the Cubs here this month, but it could be tricky as they're going to be without Shota Imanaga for the next several weeks. They put him on the 15-day injured list today. Going for the sweep yesterday against the Brewers, 6th inning, he pulled his hamstring. I have not seen if we've gotten anything official from them other than simply they are referring to it as a hamstring strain. They've recalled Gavin Hollowell from AAA Iowa to help take his spot in the rotation. This is the thing that could derail the Cubs as well as they've done early. Their pitching staff has not been great. The bullpen has had its ups and downs, and the rotation is now really getting tested with its injuries and just with its overall length. Oh, good evening, Ralph Calise, host of the Yinzer Report. Yeah, the Cubs finally put it to Paul Skeens last week. 3 home runs off him in a single inning. It felt good. Oh my gosh, that felt good that they were able to have some success against Paul Skeens, the Buccos wonderkind there down there in Pittsburgh, as the Cubs took that series. But with Shota Imanaga now on the injured list, you're now down Justin Steele, Javier Assad, and Shota Imanaga. Imanaga, you hope it's short. You hope that in a couple weeks he's back, that he'll only miss maybe 3 starts and then he's back out there and you're not going to be without him for a long time. But you're now down 60% of what you were hoping was going to be your starting rotation. Matthew Boyd has done tremendously well. Colin Rea has been a godsend to this rotation since getting pulled into more active duty there. And Jameson Taillon is still pitching incredibly well, but you're counting on a lot of guys in roles that you weren't necessarily expecting them to play. So it's a lot that you're asking of this rotation. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully the offense just continues to stay hot, continues to rake, continues to just put runs up on the table and continue to have some success there. So some good stuff for the Cubs, but then we've got to switch to the other side of town. The White Sox. Oh, the Chicago White Sox. Oh, the Chicago White Sox. What do we say about the White Sox that hasn't already been said? Coming into play tonight, as the Sox are also in action tonight. They are down in Kansas City, currently scoreless, bottom of the third. Nobody on and 2 out down there in Kansas City. We've got Reagan's on the bump for Kansas City, and we've got Shane Smith on the hill for the White Sox. 3 punch outs against just 1 walk. Hasn't allowed a hit yet, so good for Shane Smith, doing some good stuff there so far. Sox currently 10-24 on the year. They're already 11.5 games back of the Detroit Tigers in the American League Central. 14 games under 500. They have won a grand total of 2 series on the season, though they are coming off a series win against the Astros over the weekend. So, hey, I will 100% take that. That is outstanding. I love it. You'll take them wherever you can get them. Absolutely. And then they also had the Brewers just before that. Dropped 2 out of 3, but did take the last one at least in that series. Will things get any easier for the White Sox this month? They are currently at the Royals. Then they are also playing the Marlins. They're also down in Cincinnati playing the Reds. They're at the Cubs, taking on the Mariners, the Rangers. They're at the Mets, and then they close out the month at the Orioles. A lot of similar opponents to the Cubs this month for the White Sox. So some previews there, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. If you're a Cubs fan, or if you're a Sox fan, just anything you can do to just keep the season moving. Luis Robert has been has had a wonderful restart to his year, doing some terrific things for the White Sox overall. He's, if they were going to have an all-star right now, it would be Luis Robert would be their guy at this point. 15 RBIs to lead the team, also the best on base percentage on the team. Lenyn Sosa also having some good stuff overall for the team, but it's Luis Robert is the guy that you're most proud of, most excited for right now. The 15 RBIs, 20 walks already, 15 stolen bases for him as well. The batting average, that's kind of the thing that you want to see coming up. That's the piece that might be making him more desirable as a potential trade piece, because let's face it, that's what the White Sox are still doing right now. That's the mode that they are in. What are they going to do as far as the White Sox are concerned with a record? They're probably going to lose a lot. They're probably going to lose a ton of these. Win double digits. Win double digits this month. Get another 10 wins under you so that you're at least staying respectable. One of the amazing things about the White Sox this season, they are the only team in Major League Baseball. They have one save. Everybody else in Major League Baseball has a minimum of 4 saves. The White Sox have 1. So that's, some of that's just lack of opportunities, but some of that is, come on, guys, you got to hang on to these. A good evening to Brian Franchione as well. Good evening. Yeah, the Cubs are looking good with their bats so far. Hopefully they keep that going, keep that running, and keep that working. Up 2-0 right now against the Giants. Ian Happ with a home run tonight. But for the White Sox, this is basically what you expected. The only thing, thank goodness for the Rockies, because the Rockies are the thing that are keeping the White Sox out of the basement of all of Major League Baseball right now. The Rockies are just truly abysmally awful at baseball right now. And that's the thing that is keeping the White Sox, somewhat respectable. The Sox still the worst record in the American League, and the Rockies are the only one with a worse record at this point. But thank goodness for the Rockies keeping the White Sox, making the White Sox look just a little bit better. We are going to take for ourselves a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to shift gears over to another team in Chicago that is seemingly on an endless rebuild, but perhaps some help will be coming here in just a little bit over a month. The NHL Draft lottery was tonight, and so that means we know where the Blackhawks will be selecting in the first round next month. We'll talk about that next here on Chi-Town Weekly, part of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies,
And your one-timers,
you wicked wristas.
and be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode. And welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Adam Kernick. Glad to be back with you. So there was a little bit of method to the madness there in the shows you just heard about, the New York State of Sports and the Neutral Zone. The Neutral Zone I am fortunate enough to be a co-host of. We're talking all things hockey there. The playoffs are alive and well. Lots going on. So much drama going on in the NHL playoffs right now. The PWHL playoffs are set to start this week. So be sure to tune in tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time, as Zach and I will be breaking down everything happening in the hockey world. But also, Ricky K does an amazing job talking New York sports every single week here on IE Sports Radio. A lot of times he's on Monday afternoons. I don't believe he was able to go on today. I'm not sure when next he'll be going, but stay tuned to IE Sports Radio on all the social media platforms. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and then you will know exactly when every single show is going on. But the reason that we talk about them is because tonight was the NHL Draft lottery. The Blackhawks have been involved in this, of course, a lot because they don't ever wind up in the playoffs. I would love to talk about Blackhawks playoff hockey on this show. Maybe someday I'll get the opportunity to. But the Blackhawks wound up getting third in the draft tonight. It was a little crazy in the draft because the New York Islanders moved up and won the lottery. They will pick first overall for the first time in 16 years. The Islanders were in the 10th spot and then won the first draw to move all the way up to number 1. So the Islanders will get the top pick. The Blackhawks winding up at third, which was higher than where they were most likely to end up. Most likely they were likely to end up fourth, but it does mean they fall back. They were originally number 2 in the standings, if you will. Kyle Davidson, this is a quote I just ran across from him after the lottery tonight. Davidson, quote, "I thought it was kind of exciting. The last couple of years haven't been necessarily like chalk, but teams close to the top of the odds have moved up or stayed the same. So it was kind of exciting from that standpoint to see the Islanders, who had a 3.5% chance of getting the number 1 pick, get the number 1 pick. Third overall," this is Davidson again. "Third overall, we're going to get a great player. I'm excited to head into meetings next week with our amateur group and start the process of nailing down where we want to line up the board and what it looks like. We stayed in good range where I think we're going to be really excited with what we will end up with." That is Blackhawks general manager Kyle Davidson shortly after the Blackhawks landed third in the NHL draft lottery. As you know, of course, a couple of years ago, they won the lottery and arguably the best year to win the lottery, with Connor Bedard being there and being available to the Blackhawks. Though this year wasn't what you didn't see the jump from him that you would have liked.
So now what does that mean for the Hawks? It's kind of an interesting board. Zach and I will start getting into this a little bit more on the neutral zone as we get going, and we could do some back and forth with it of doing a little bit of looking at the potential players. Looking just right now at the way the NHL has them. Overall, for example, looking at the number one player that the NHL has on its board overall is Erie defenseman Matthew Schaefer, 6'2", 183 pounds. He's the number one overall player on that board. The Blackhawks have done a lot defensively already, so I don't know if they would necessarily be looking to go that route anyway. The top international skater is also the number 2 player on a lot of people's boards. That's Anton Frondell, a center out of Sweden's 2 league. Jardigan is the amateur club he comes from. He would be kind of the top international skater there. You've also got Michael Misa from Saginaw in the OHL as a center. A lot of centers on the board early for a lot of these guys, and that's not unexpected for a lot of these draft rankings boards to have a lot of centermen on the board that way early. The Hawks, if you're looking outside of center, Porter Martone, a right winger from the Ontario Hockey League, that could be somebody that could be a player that the Hawks target. The top American on the board is probably James Hagens, a center out of Boston College. He, I believe, is going to be going back to school next season. I don't think that you would get him right away like you would with Schaefer or Mesa or Martone. You would almost certainly be seeing one of those guys, especially because they're Canadian. They certainly wouldn't be going to the AHL. So it'd be a matter of, do you loan them back to their Ontario League teams for them to use in the meantime, or do you bring them straight to the NHL? Whereas with Hagens, I would not be surprised if he stays at Boston College. I thought I saw Brian in our chat room. Yeah, Brian, he's our Boston host. Brian, if you've heard anything about young Mr. Hagens, if he's planning on staying at Boston College or going to the NHL once he's drafted, I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at Boston College for another season and then comes at the end of the year. So going to be some interesting names there for the Hawks. We'll dive into these a little bit more as we get closer. The NHL draft isn't for another month yet. A month and a half, almost 2 months, because of course you've got to get all the way through the playoffs first. You know, you've got to get all the way. They've just started the second round of the playoffs tonight. So you'll see a lot more playoff hockey first, and then we'll get into the draft. The draft is until the very end of June. So we got a lot to go first there for the Hawks, but we'll dive into some of those targets as we get a little closer. All right, we are going to take for ourselves one more break. And then on the flip side, there's been a team in town that, despite its best efforts, just continues to be dysfunctional. I know that could describe a lot of teams in town, right? Which one am I talking about? Well, we'll find out next here on Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Are you a fan of Minnesota sports? Do you love the Vikings and hate the Packers? Are you a fan of the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Lynx, St. Paul Saints? Here on the Bold North Breakdown, we'll talk about all of those professional teams as well as all the college teams in the area. That's your basketball teams, football, hockey, volleyball, men's and women's sports alike. We talk about them all. Here on the Bold North Breakdown. Join me, your host, Glenn Ritter, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central to discuss all that is happening in the Minnesota sports scene. Here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen D, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam Karnick back with you here for, about another 10 minutes or so left of the program here tonight. So I teased there before the break that we were going to talk about a team that just continues to be dysfunctional regardless of everything that they do to try and fix the situation. I know that could describe a lot of teams in town, but in this particular instance, we're actually going to be talking about the National Women's Soccer League club Stars FC. The Stars last week, very suddenly, very out of the blue, fired head coach Lorne Donaldson just 6 matches into the regular season. Donaldson was in his second year on the job with Stars FC. General Manager Richard Fuez issued a written statement, quote, "We are grateful to Lorne Donaldson for the culture, respect, and sense of self-belief he helped build within our squad. We appreciate his work and wish him the best for the future." The Stars are very much a mess right now. They've had, of course, lots of off-field issues that have been discussed and dissected and gone through a lot. And Jess, the host of our soccer show, Shin Pads and Shenanigans, and you can hear Jess on Saturday mornings right here on IE Sports Radio chiming in. Donaldson was let go strictly for poor performance. It is actually kind of refreshing to see that that's the only reason that Donaldson got let go was purely due to bad performance, because the Stars have had so many other things where there have been allegations of mishandling of players and harassment and all kinds of other things. It is kind of a breath of fresh air in a little ways that it's okay. Whew, he was just bad at running the soccer team. They just didn't win anything. Okay. All right. Whew. This isn't for other reasons. It's still very odd that it's happening 6 weeks into the regular season, and it didn't exactly spur things on to greater results in the match this weekend. So Masaki Hemi takes over as on an interim basis. The team is going to search for a full-time head coach. Hemi came over from New Mexico United, part of the USL. He was a director of player personnel and an assistant coach. So he's been an assistant coach before, but it's still, since 2020, Hemi is the 6th head coach for this franchise. And it's a franchise that you are still technically coming off of a playoff berth, as bad as it was a season ago. But you're just having so much turmoil, so much up and down. You've had new ownership. You've had multiple new coaches. You've had new general managers. You've had a new name get sprinkled into the mix. You know, they were Red Stars. Now they're Stars FC. It's just a whole lot of things changing, but ultimately the results staying the same with this soccer club. So how did things go in the first match post Lorne Donaldson? Not great. They hosted Gotham FC and played to a 0-0 draw. Overall, Chicago mustered one shot on net in the entire game, possessed the ball for only a little over 40% of the time. How much was the total time on the game? I'm going to look up here. Did they play? How much overage time? They wound up playing 94 minutes, and Chicago mustered a shot on goal. Not great. Not great. Or excuse me, they played 97 minutes. Excuse me. I was reading it wrong. Just not good. Not anywhere near good enough. One shot on goal, 4 shot attempts total in the entire match. Only 3 corner kicks. Just not good performance at all. It was good enough to at least garner a draw out of it. So, you know, you do get standings points at least, which is, you know, something that Stars is in an unbelievably short supply of. That was their first draw of the season. So they improve to 1 win, 1 draw, and 5 losses now in 7 matches on the season. They still have only mustered 3 goals total on the entire season. So there's a lot there that needs to be improved. Yes, they're still without Mallory Swanson. That's a huge loss for the team. No idea when she's coming back either. Absolutely no idea when or if she'll be back with the team this season. They will next travel down to play Washington this weekend, this Saturday afternoon, and actually it'll be late morning technically for us when the game starts. 11:50 Saturday morning. Just coming. That's almost as bad as LA Galaxy. It's just bad. It's just straight bad is what it is for Stars. And Jess also commenting about Mallory Swanson, doesn't say if Mallory will be back, and it may be part of the reason they're not doing so well. It to be fair, to be clear, it's absolutely a huge part of the reason why they're struggling on the field. They are down their best player. They do not have their best player out there on the pitch, but it's still, they've got to do something. You've got to figure something out here with this, to only have mustered at this point in the season, to have 4 points total, 1 win and 1 draw in 7 matches, and to only have 3 goals total. We're going to make this hurt here. They have been shut out in their last 3 matches, and they have only scored in 2 matches all season long. In 7 matches, they've only scored a goal in 2 of them. Their one victory against Bay FC a month ago at this point, very nearly a month ago at this point, they scored 2 goals. That's 2/3 of their entire production for the season. They've got to get some more production there on offense. We'll see how much the coaching change makes a difference, but it does feel very much like the more things change, the more they stay the same with this club, unfortunately. That is going to do it for our show here this evening. Big shout out and thank yous to each and every one of our sponsors here at the network. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Go to planetjerky.net to place your order. They are still offering free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Thank you also to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to vitalapparel.com, and when you place your order, use promo code IESR at checkout to get 15% off of your order. Also, thank you to Seal the Deal Wax Seals. We're going to be sending out mail, cards, invitations. You got graduations coming up. There's always some reason to put something in the mail. We'll put your official stamp on it. Let everybody know without a doubt that it came from you. Go to iesportsradio.com/sealthedeal wax seals to place your orders. Cecilia will work with you to customize it and make it uniquely yours. And of course, be sure to follow along with IE Sports Radio on all the social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel. When you do, just drop a little comment that this show is the reason that you are subscribing. We appreciate that. Make us feel a little warm and fuzzy, and I'll shout you out and say thank you to you as well. Thank you to Larry B, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, for all the hard work you're doing behind the scenes here. It does not go unnoticed, nor is it unappreciated. Thank you to everybody that's hanging out in the chat room with us tonight. My mom dropping in right at the last second. Jess hopping in, saying hello. Brian Francione, Christian, Ralph Police, and of course West Trueblood. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to all the 202 people watching the show live tonight across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And finally, thank you, the listener, whether you're listening live, whether you're listening after the fact, whether this was the first episode or episode 230, you couldn't hear the whole route. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. Until then, we'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.